We're counting down the 20 weirdest facts about the Easy Rider Captain America chopper, a legend built from confusion, rebellion, and true crime mystery. From disputed origins and radical custom work to shocking thefts, authenticity debates, and a cultural impact that outlived the machine itself, this list unravels every layer of myth and chaos. Which twist made this bike more famous missing than real? Let's begin with number 20. Right from the start, the Captain America chopper's identity was tangled in confusion. The donor bikes came from retired LAPD police motorcycles, but whether they were 1949, 1951, or 1952, Harley-Davidson panheads depends on which expert you ask. All that's certain is the heart of each build was the panhead engine, named for its rocker covers shaped like roasting pans, a Harley hallmark from 1948 through 1965. These ex-police bikes were stripped to bare bones, leaving little to trace their true origin. That year dispute at the frame rails set the stage for every authenticity headache that followed. Cliff Vaughs and Ben Hardy worked out of Los Angeles, far from Hollywood's spotlight, but their impact on Easy Rider's legacy is undeniable. Vaughs, a designer and associate producer, brought together the vision and the technical know-how, coordinating the build process and managing deadlines. Hardy, known in South Central as the King of Bikes, rebuilt engines and crafted the mechanical heart of the chopper at his shop on 1168 East Florence Avenue. Together, they handled the welding, frame modifications, and custom fabrication that transformed police surplus into cinematic legend. Neither man received on-screen credit, a silence shaped by the era's racial barriers and studio politics. Their craftsmanship, though, is still visible in every line of the Captain America bike. Peter Fonda didn't just want to ride a chopper, he wanted to make a statement with every inch of it. Before a single part was ordered, Fonda sat down and sketched out his own vision, a motorcycle that looked like pure freedom on two wheels. He obsessed over the proportions, making sure the front end stretched just right and the silhouette screamed rebellion. The colors weren't random either. Fonda insisted on the stars and stripes, wrapping the bike in the American flag, equal parts patriotic and provocative. Every detail, from the tank shape to the chrome accents, had to match the image in his head. The ultimate outlaw machine, engineered to stand out in any crowd. The Captain America chopper's silhouette wouldn't exist without its outrageous 12-inch fork extension. Those Springer front forks, stretched a full foot over stock length, gave the bike its unmistakable raked stance, a look that defined chopper style for decades. But the visual drama came at a price. Extending the wheelbase and changing the neck angle threw off the original Harley steering geometry, introducing a wobble at low speeds and making tight turns a challenge. At highway pace, the bike cruised steady and straight, but in city traffic, every bump and corner became a test of nerve and skill. The engineering was daring, and the result was a motorcycle that looked like pure freedom, but demanded real commitment from anyone bold enough to ride it. The Captain America chopper's flowing silhouette depended on a tank you couldn't buy from any Harley catalog. Each teardrop-shaped gas tank was hammered out by hand, shaped from raw steel to match Peter Fonda's vision of a seamless line running from fork to seat. Custom mounting tabs welded beneath the tank locked it to the frame, but this artistry came with a trade-off: less room for fuel. The elongated profile sacrificed capacity for style, meaning more frequent stops on the road. Every curve and weld was a deliberate choice, form taking priority over function, all in service of that unmistakable look. The Captain America chopper's gas tank became a canvas for one of the boldest statements in movie history. Crisp white stars and deep blue lacquer ran across the top, with red and white stripes wrapping the sides. No subtlety, no apology. This wasn't just a paint job, it was a rolling American flag, gleaming under a high-gloss finish that demanded attention on camera and off. In 1969, with the Vietnam War dividing the country, that flag meant different things to different people. Some saw a celebration of freedom, others saw a challenge, a dare, maybe even a joke. The bike's look invited everyone to decide for themselves whether it was patriotism, protest, or something that couldn't be pinned down. That ambiguity turned a custom Harley into a cultural lightning rod. Chrome sissy bars and ape hanger handlebars finished off the Captain America chopper's silhouette, turning it into a rolling sculpture of rebellion. The sissy bar, a tall chrome rail behind the seat, wasn't just for looks. It gave the rider a place to strap down gear and a bit of back support on those endless highways. The nickname came from old-school bikers who thought any backrest was for sissies, but after a few hundred miles, most riders were grateful for it. Ape hangers, those high-rise handlebars reaching above shoulder height, forced the rider's arms out wide and up, creating that dramatic, upright posture. It looked great on film, but meant wind drag and aching shoulders after a long day's ride. Every shot of Fonda and Hopper gripping those bars captured both the bike's attitude and the physical toll it took to keep up the image. Movie productions rarely gamble on a single hero prop, and Easy Rider was no exception. 4. Captain America choppers were built for filming, each one nearly identical, down to the last star on the gas tank. This wasn't about luxury, it was insurance. One bike handled beauty shots, another was prepped for stunts, and the rest stood by for breakdowns or accidents. All four had to match closely enough that nobody watching could spot a swap between scenes. That redundancy was standard practice on sets where long road trips, rough terrain, and unpredictable weather could sideline a motorcycle in a heartbeat. But with four twins in play, the question of which bike was which would haunt collectors and fans for decades. When only one remained, the confusion over authenticity was baked in from the very start. 3 of the 4 Captain America choppers vanished in a single, audacious heist before Easy Rider ever hit theaters. It happened while the bikes were stored after filming, sometime in 1968. The production was wrapping up, and the motorcycles were tucked away, not in a studio lot, but in a less secure location tied to stuntman Tex Hall. Thieves broke in and made off with the bikes, leaving almost nothing behind. Tex Hall reportedly tried to chase them down, gun in hand, but the pursuit failed, and the motorcycles disappeared without a trace. No police reports, no insurance claims, no reliable eyewitness accounts, just a swirl of rumors and dead ends. The timing couldn't have been worse. The bikes were still just movie props, not yet the icons they would become. Their disappearance before the film's release set off decades of mystery, suspicion, and debate over what, if anything, really survived. Only one Captain America chopper was left after the theft, but even that survivor's story is tangled in doubt. The bike that made it through filming, the one wrecked in the final crash scene, was handed off to Dan Haggerty, who claimed to have restored it using original parts. From there, the paper trail gets murky. Competing owners have surfaced, each armed with certificates, letters, and their own version of events. Some say their bike was rebuilt from the crash remains. Others insist theirs carries the most original pieces. The truth is, no continuous documentation exists from the moment the film wrapped. Every handoff, every restoration, every claim adds another gap in the chain. With missing paperwork and shifting testimonies, the last Captain America chopper became less an artifact and more a battleground for authenticity, fueling decades of debate over which, if any, could be called the real thing. For more than 50 years, the 3 missing Captain America choppers have remained the most famous cold case in motorcycle history. Not a single credible sighting since 1968. No barn finds, no black market whispers, nothing. Theories run wild. Some believe the bikes were stripped down for parts within days, their distinctive frames and tanks scattered to the wind. Others picture them hidden away in a private hoard, gathering dust in some collector's locked garage. There's even talk of the bikes being shipped overseas, lost forever in a shipping container. Tracing them is nearly impossible. The extensive custom work erased factory serial numbers, and police databases of the era were primitive at best. With no VINs to track and no paper trail, the trail went cold before it even began. Their total disappearance only deepened the legend, fueling demand for replicas and keeping the mystery alive for generations. Dan Haggerty's name is stamped all over the Captain America chopper's post-film history, but not for reasons most collectors would envy. After Easy Rider wrapped, Haggerty began selling Captain America bikes to eager fans, each one accompanied by a signed certificate or glowing letter, sometimes even a museum endorsement. He claimed to have restored the original wreck, but just as quickly, he'd vouch for a different bike as the real deal. Over the years, his shifting stories and stack of certificates meant that more than one original Captain America hit the market, each with paperwork and a convincing backstory. For buyers, this created a hall of mirrors. Every bike came with a promise, but none with certainty. Haggerty's replica business blurred the line between tribute and artifact, setting the stage for million-dollar auctions where authenticity was anyone's guess. In 2014, a Captain America chopper claiming direct lineage from Easy Rider crossed the auction block and stunned the motorcycle world with a $1.35 million final price. The sale, handled by Profiles in History, came wrapped in a thick provenance packet. Letters from Dan Haggerty, a museum display history, even Peter Fonda's signature on the tank. Yet, as the gavel dropped, experts were split down the middle. Some pointed to the paperwork and restoration history as proof, while others called it a high-quality replica with a murky past. The press labeled the bike's authenticity as contested, but that did nothing to slow the bidding. The hunger for a piece of the legend easily outpaced the need for absolute proof. In that moment, cold, hard cash inflated the Captain America myth to new heights, making uncertainty part of the appeal. Behind closed doors, the Captain America chopper's story took another twist when a bike surfaced in an elite private collection, one belonging to a tech billionaire. For years, rumors swirled about a so-called survivor, battered from filming, quietly displayed as the real thing. The bike's chain of custody was anything but clear. Museum statements referenced a crash scene relic, yet each retelling shifted details, fueling more questions than answers. With access limited and documentation incomplete, the bike's presence in a private vault only deepened the mystery. In the world of high-profile collecting, ownership alone can shape a narrative, turning a disputed artifact into an object of reverence. The debate over this bike's authenticity hasn't faded. It's only grown louder with each new claim, as the line between legend and fact blurs behind velvet ropes and locked doors. Within months of Easy Rider's release, custom motorcycle shops across the country were overwhelmed. Orders for extended forks and ape hanger handlebars soared, with some builders reporting wait lists stretching 6 months or more. Aftermarket suppliers scrambled to keep up as demand for chrome sissy bars, teardrop tanks, and wild paint jobs exploded. Magazines like Easy Riders started featuring Captain America lookalikes on their covers, and even small-town garages found themselves fielding requests for chopper conversions. The craze didn't stop at the US border. Builders in Europe and Japan jumped in, chasing the same outlaw silhouette. What started as a film prop became a movement, turning custom choppers from backstreet oddities into a booming business and a global style. The Captain America bike wasn't just a movie star. It was the spark that lit an international obsession. The Captain America chopper didn't just ignite a craze, it rewrote the visual code for what rebellion looked like on screen. That stretched front end, the flag-wrapped tank, the chrome sissy bar, and ape hangers. These details became instant cinematic shorthand for danger, freedom, and outsider status. Every time a movie or TV show wanted to signal a character was living outside the rules, they reached for a chopper that echoed Captain America's silhouette. The paradox was impossible to miss. A bike draped in the American flag, but used to challenge the very idea of what America was supposed to mean. Advertising campaigns, album covers, and even Saturday morning cartoons borrowed the same cues, banking on that outlaw look to sell everything from blue jeans to breakfast cereal. Over 5 decades, the Captain America chopper's style became the universal language of rebellion, recognizable in an instant, impossible to mistake for anything else. Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda didn't just pose with the Captain America chopper, they rode it for real, mile after mile, on open highways and back roads. Hopper, who had barely touched a motorcycle before filming, spent weeks learning to handle the stretched-out front end and sky-high handlebars. Fonda, already a seasoned rider, insisted on authenticity. No trick photography, no rear projection, just actual riding with a camera truck keeping pace. The bikes were heavy, awkward at low speeds, and demanded total concentration, especially with the unpredictable handling of those extended forks. Every shot of the film's journey was earned the hard way, with the actors exposed to real traffic, weather, and breakdowns. That commitment to the ride, risk and all, gave Easy Rider its raw edge. The chopper wasn't just a movie prop, it was a test of nerve, and it shows in every frame. Steppenwolf's Born to be Wild wasn't just a soundtrack pick. It was the spark that launched the Captain America chopper into legend. The film's opening montage syncs the thump of the Panhead engine with the first blast of that song, as chrome flashes under desert sun and the road stretches out forever. No one had ever paired rock music and motorcycle footage like this before. The editing matches every gear shift and handlebar twitch to the beat, turning miles of empty highway into pure adrenaline. The lyrics, "Get your motor runnin', head out on the highway," could have been written for this scene. It's more than music behind a movie, it's the anthem of the bike itself. That fusion of sound and image cemented the Captain America chopper as the visual shorthand for freedom, rebellion, and the open road. From that moment, the song and the bike became inseparable, a pop culture echo that still rides on every time the opening riff hits. The Captain America chopper's final moments on screen are burned into the memory of anyone who's seen Easy Rider. After 2 hours of sun-bleached highways and defiant freedom, the film doesn't end with a hero's victory. It ends with a shotgun blast. Wyatt, Peter Fonda's character, is riding the chopper through rural Louisiana when a pickup truck pulls alongside. A shotgun fires. The bike careens off the road, flips, and erupts in flames, chrome and paintwork shattered in seconds. There's no slow motion, no warning, just sudden violence. Critics at the time called the ending shocking, even cruel. The destruction of the Captain America bike wasn't just a plot twist, it was the erasure of a dream. That explosion on the roadside became a metaphor for the collapse of 1960s idealism, the moment when the hope and rebellion of a generation were snuffed out by fear and intolerance. In that instant, the motorcycle that had carried so many dreams became a burned-out wreck, its symbolic power only growing as the smoke cleared. No one can point to a single, universally accepted Captain America chopper. The trail splits into dead ends, auction certificates, restoration claims, and museum displays, each with its own story, but none with airtight proof. Forensic science can't settle it. Too many parts replaced, too many hands involved. Replicas outnumber any possible originals, and every new tribute deepens the mystery. What began as steel and chrome has become a modern ship of Theseus. If every piece is swapped, what's left of the real thing? The Captain America chopper's greatest trick is its disappearance, turning absence into legend and myth into something more powerful than metal or paint. In the end, the dream outlives the machine. Across all 20 weird facts, the journey of the Easy Rider Captain America chopper unravels a story where myth steadily overtakes metal. The list began with basic confusion over the bike's true origins. Was it a 1949, 1951, or 1952 panhead? And ended with the shocking revelation that the most famous motorcycle in film history might not exist in any verifiable form. Patterns emerge, technical ambiguity, hidden builders like Cliff Vaughs and Ben Hardy, and the constant tension between reality and legend. The theft of 3 of the 4 film bikes before Easy Rider even premiered, the disputed survivor, and $1 million auction for a bike whose authenticity no one can confirm, these highlight how provenance wars and replica claims fuel the chopper's legend. Ultimately, what made each fact qualify was its ability to deepen the paradox. The chopper's real-world chaos amplified its status as a countercultural icon. The list reveals that with the Captain America chopper, the absence of proof only sharpened its place in history. In the end, the symbol outlives the steel. The myth rides on, even if the original machine is lost forever.